an expert biologist, and when this handsome fellow isn't traveling across the world doing research, he's at home cooking a great meal?
But yeah, that's all true, but Sancho, where did you get that?
An excellent assistant knows how to write an excellent introduction. You got it, boss.
Or taking a long walk on the beach? Who wrote this mess?
I must have dreamed 1,000 dreams, belonging by a million screams. But I can hear the marching feet moving into the street. Now, did you read the news today? They say the danger's gone away, but I can see the fire still alight, burning into the night. There's too many men, too many people making too many problems, and there's not much love to go around. Can't you see this is a land of confusion? This is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. Use them and let's start trying to make it a place worth living in. Oh, Superman, where are you now? When everything's gone wrong somehow. The men of steel, these men of power, I'm losing control by the hour. And this is the time, this is the place, and we love for the future. But there's not much love to go around. Tell me why this is a land of confusion. This is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. Use them and let's start trying to make it a place worth living in. I remember long ago when the sun was shining and all the stars were bright all through the night. In the wake of this madness, as I held you tight so long ago. I won't be coming home tonight. My generation will put it right. We're not just making promises that we know we'll never keep. There's too many men, too many people making too many problems, and there's not much love to go around. Can't you see this is a land of confusion? Now this is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. Use them and let's start trying to make it a place worth fighting for. This is the world we live in, and these are the names we're given. Stand up and let's start showing
Yeah. Yes. That was awesome. Can you guys hear me?
Pretty cool.
Give me a hey yo in the chat if you can hear me. You know,
Yes, I can hear you.
all right. Okay. No, I mean, like I'm wondering about the other guys
Oh yeah.
actually in the chat. So like, as I mentioned the other day, StreamYard has still got all these weird setups going on, and I'm finding my way around it, trying to figure out what I don't want, what I do want, and it's still messing it up, man. Like, it's hard. So hello, Nathaniel, my friend from America. Amazing, mate.
America.
Rock on, man. Rock on. There we go. You guys are hearing it clearly. Now we've got Shaggy Comics. Here we go. And we got D.
From Oamaru.
All right. Shaggy from Oamaru. Is that what you're saying? And D, where is D from? Hello, D. DD Kiwi. All right. Who else we got? We got about 5 people watching. Thank you for joining us. You're probably either on Facebook or on Twitter. So if you're on either of those places, thank you. But pop over to YouTube if you want to get your voices heard and ask questions, whatever. Got anything to recommend upcoming that you guys got yourself want to put out, or some other recommendation of some comic sites, because this is about comics and pop culture. And welcome to April 2025. I'm Aro. With me today is Justin Young, one of my good old mates, and he's been working around very hard over the years on his comics and being at conventions and stuff. So last time I saw him in person was it like last March or April? Auckland?
It was Auckland. It was June or July, whatever their winter getting is.
Right, it was almost
Probably
a year
June.
ago.
Yeah, that's about a year ago. Yeah.
Okay, so I have you like on mobile, but I've got you on my screen as like in profile. So I mean, what is not profile? Sorry, I've got you as a screen.
Try this.
No, ain't gonna work. I think there you go. Yeah, no, you're fine. Before go back to back.
Oh, like this.
Perfect. Yeah, that's it. All right.
Cool.
So got a comment in the chat. Let's go. Here we go. So DD Kiwi says, "Yo, Justin, love your comics. So good."
Thank you.
And now, Shaggy, before we get into the, bios and all that. So Shaggy goes, "Why is the next video recommended to me after this turning glue into alcohol?" I don't know, man. Like, I get some crazy recommendations, and I'm gonna go. If I don't like it, I don't recommend channel again. And there's a couple I've had to do because like there's some drama going on out there, and I'm like, I don't want to be involved in that one. So the other thing is, this year is looking really good for creatives. Like Shane, my good friend Shane, our good friend Shane, of course, from this. Is it upside down? Is it coming around across you, Brian?
No, that's right. It's correct.
Yeah, I'm looking at myself and it's
Right.
like backwards. So Art of Evans on Instagram and Facebook. Check it out. Also, there's one called Make Comics New Zealand, Make Comics NZ on Facebook. Do check that out. It's a site for Kiwis, and I think some of them, there's some overseas people or expats on there as well. But there is a thing going that I want to just get to quickly before we get into all this, because I think it's good to catch up on some local news when we're interviewing local people. So now, where was it? I think it's under Make Comics. Yep, there it is. Comes up right away. Thank you. Now, a friend of ours, right? A friend of ours who used to live here, has moved away, left us alone, and on our own to be cause troubles. He's got something going on, and I want to he's just got him back into comics again. Well, not kind of got into comics again, but got into art again. Got himself a digital tablet, and it's going hard out arting. Right. So what I want to just do is present screen, get rid of that one. Stop that, get a new one. This is why it's taking so freaking, it's annoying because I was so good at the other setup. I could go boom, boom, and I'm ready to go. Now I'm like having to relearn this. So this is what's happening. And this is the link for it. If you're a Kiwi local, give that a go. Go check out that site, make online Kiwi Comic Jam. Now, I'm very busy. I thought about it. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
6 projects, and there is no way trying to find the time to do that. But I encourage everybody to get involved in that. It's the same reason why I don't go to the local jams as well, because I wake up in like middle of the night or I go to sleep in the morning. It's all over. Like yesterday, I had like that. I went to bed around about 6 this morning, wake up at about 1 or 12. So if something's on at 10 o'clock, I'm usually sleeping through it. But this is a good idea, man. Like, I think this is an amazing idea for Rico to come up with something for people to, get together and do locally, New Zealand, get involved with if you're in the comic scene. Even if you're not, if you're just an artist and you can lend a hand to a writer or someone's thinking of something, and do a poster, right? There's no reason for you guys not to be involved in something creative in the comic scene if you're in graphic design, or even if you're a painter. I'm like, just give friggin', hook up with someone and go, hey, this is what I do. Would you like me to do something for you? Because at the end of the day, there are so many writers like myself who are looking for something, in kind, right? Get your name out there or something, right? I remember the first time I wanted someone to do art for me. I had no money, and I went, "Oh, here's a tablet. Can we swap the tablet for some art?" And yeah, and we got, that's how I started myself getting into comics, doing comics, and now I've got a whole bunch of artists that do it for me, creatively. Right now, I think there's something else, and then I'll finish, and we'll get to the bios here. Now, here's what I was talking about, like, Rico getting back into art and stuff, doing some arty stuff, comic related or game related. And of course, this is Justin's one, which we're going to talk about, Vault. All right, and here's some more of Rico doing just what he likes doing, right? We got some artwork here as well, and we're going to see some more of you there. And now here we got Dan, the Monster Man. He's into monsters and stuff. Look at that, crazy stuff. Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you don't have to be all about comics to be able to do art. And this is, of course, Evans 7. Art of Evans here. We just showed you. Now he's got his car thing. Now here's some more going on. Right. So yeah, do go check out this. All right, Make Comics New Zealand.
That's probably the group, I think, for New Zealand comic people.
Yeah, there was
I think that's definitely the group to go to if you're interested in getting into it.
Yeah, that's like an entry level to your drug, into comics. But there are others, and I'll just bring that up as well. If you're kind of like moving up to the intermediate level, right? Which is NZ Comics. Hold on. There we go. Comic Creators Community, and this is this one here, right? And this is for the actual, when you're ready to publish and stuff like that, or if you need advice on where to get information to get your book out there and all that stuff. So it's all good. Like, we gotta, I'm all about promotion, right? I don't do conventions anymore. So it's about promoting other people and getting it out there, especially for locally. Now, I think let's get down there. Right, there we go. So that's the name of the group, New Zealand Comics Creators Community, NZCCC. All right. Now I'm going to back out, take myself off, and we'll put on, get rid of that, and we'll.
Oh, I got the full screen now. All right. Do I talk now? I'm not sure what to do. So I'm Justin. I'm a comic creator down in Dunedin. I'm very sorry about my eyes. I haven't been smoking anything. It's just for some reason my hay fever just packed up. I normally write horror and science fiction and that sort of thing, and I'm moving into doing more all-age sort of stuff at the moment, and I think that's what we're going to be talking about on this particular broadcast. I've been here a few times, and I don't really know what else to add. I have written Freak and Homerville. They're probably more geared at sort of R16, R18, where I'm about to do Vault, which I finished. It's published, ready to go. I'm just doing a wee Kickstarter on that at the moment, which I'll probably show a few bits and pieces of soon.
Back in there.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, so let me bring up the site, and we can Is that the one? Nope. Hold on. I hit it up and then I brought it down. And there we go. So this is Vault. Let me make sure I've got it at the right 100%. Now, it started what 4 days ago?
Mm-hmm. About 4 days.
So have you now? Is this your first Kickstarter, right?
I've done 3 other Kickstarters.
Okay.
Maybe 4. My first one sucked, failed.
Right.
And my other 3, they meet their targets, and this is a much lower target than I normally do.
Okay. So we got a question in the chat. Let's get to it. So Didi Kiwi says, Justin, what's your favorite thing to do when you're drawing the panels?
I quite like doing environments. Environments are a lot of fun. I quite like working out all the perspective, and I'm going to do 1 point, or I'm going to do 2 point or 3 point. I quite enjoy that, and I quite enjoy making the figures kind of fit in that space.
So you're talking about the background and the landscape behind the characters. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, before we go further, tell us, give us, like a bio about the character itself, Vault, and how you came about creating it.
So I'll go right back just to make it nice and easy. I actually came up with the idea of Vault probably when I was a teenager, and I bounced the idea off a few people, and they said, "Oh, that's just like Dragon Ball Z," or "Oh, it's just like this." I went, "Oh, okay, I won't worry about it then." And then I started doing Freak at the age of 16, 17, and that's kind of carried me through. And I've started doing another all ages one called Raw Steel, but it's just not quite there. And I just finished doing Freak Part 2, done the Kickstarter for it. Wasn't the best Kickstarter, but with the way the economy is at the moment, it's not really a big thing.
Yeah, let me just segue there with the economy, right? Like, if comics, movies, entertainment going out is a luxury item for everybody. Yeah. So it becomes like the last thing people think about, and a lot of people don't think it over that way. Like, hey, we're going to go out for dinner tonight. It's like, do we have money for that? See this, and so this is kind of like the same thing, but like everybody across the world is feeling it. And like I just had the Body Shop New Zealand brand, like from the 80s, if I remember right, when I was living in Auckland. My my best friend's, or she was my best friend as well, but my friend's workmate's girlfriend, she used to go down to Body Shop. It's a New Zealand brand, and now it's gone, right? The franchise is gone. It's like, we owe all that to Cindy, but let's carry on with your with the character.
So my wife and I would talk, because you need to sort of do something that's not quite so scary, just to try and get kind of like a gateway drug into your other stuff. So we talked about Raw Steel. It's like, she says, "Oh yeah, it's still a bit on brand for what you do." So I said, "Well, I've actually got this other idea." So I spoke to her about it. She said, "Yeah, do that." So basically, what it is these 2 kids. They're out riding a bike at night. They probably shouldn't be doing it, and they get abducted by aliens. Right. Fast forward later on, they become warriors for this alien corporation, and they free planets. Right. And then one of them realizes that actually we're probably not really doing a good thing here. And that's kind of the first issue in a nutshell, really. Okay.
So I noticed that you had 2 characters here. So is this other character here, this red one, that's
Blaze. That's Blaze.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us about Blaze.
So he's the one that he's still taking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So he still works for Inter-Corp, which Intergalactic Corporation, but I called it Inter-Corp, make it nice and short. So he's still drinking the Kool-Aid, he's still towing the line, but he's probably going to be a bit like Thanos in the MCU. So you sort of see him at the start, and there's little teasers to him, and there's going to be a big showdown later on. Like, he's not going to be every single sort of comic. I'd like to sort of keep him off to the side a bit,
Right.
And then you'll see a bit of him. And you go, oh, that's right. That guy's coming back at some point. And then you sort of forget about him again.
Right.
Then,
Kind of like Easter eggs, and you like just like
just
drip feeding the character, right? Like into the
just
story.
drip feed him in. So when he does come, all hell breaks loose, kind of thing. So that's kind of the long plan. I do it in five issue arcs.
Right.
So he's probably about, I'm not going to say where he is, but he's a bit further along. So
right.
Yeah.
Now, chat, if you've got any questions like Dee asked before, carry on asking, and we'll put it through. Now, the other thing here is we've got a question. Thank you, Shaggy. He asks us, how do you choose your color palette?
The color wheel. That's probably the big thing, really. Like the yellow and blue for Vault, that was Otago colors.
Right.
I just kind of went from there, and pretty much with all my other stuff, like Freak is very much like this, sort of dark, and I just really wanted to make it as bright and vibrant as I possibly could. So I kind of went really off brand.
Hey, can you do that again? Because I was trying to set this up and I couldn't get you full. Like I said, StreamYard's messing up for me. So let me.
So that's my usual color palette.
Okay, cool. All right. Now back to that. So because it's a kind of like an all ages book, did you want to go with warmer, more bright colors that appeals to young kids more than like darker colors like you had with Freak there?
I just really wanted something just going to bounce off, because when I'm at markets, my comics kind of get hidden because they're so dark compared to everything else, it's just so bright.
Right.
And I just really wanted to have that really strong impact. But funny story about the colors, I wasn't actually supposed to do color.
Okay.
My wife and I had sort of come up with a plan that would do black and white, and then when I do the 5-issue like omnibus or trade paperback, then I'll do color. But I kind of ballsed up and I was showing everybody the colors, the colored stuff. Yeah. And that's what everyone just latched onto. So,
well, the thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize is kids like color, right?
Yeah.
Like especially boys. You got to have color, and like if you do it in black or white going out, they'll look at the covers in color, and then they open up, go, it's kind of like a 50-50 thing. For kids, you got to have color. I mean, like it costs a bit more, like sometimes double, but you have to. And it's like, I mean, imagine yourself as a kid reading Asterix for the first time and it was a black and white. Would you carry on reading? And this is what like writing for all ages is. You got to have that, otherwise
you got to have that hook.
Yeah, color's a real hook. I mean, like anything else, black and white, horror, fantasy, it's fine because manga works that way. But when it comes to comics, it doesn't work that way because we got floppies, and floppies are like, they're not books. They're just, floppies. Yeah. And kids, it's just the way the kids are. And if you want to appeal for all ages, you got to go color, and it's cost a lot. Yeah. But you still got to do it. Now I've got another question. Dee Dee's asking, what is the most difficult character to draw?
What is the most difficult character to draw? The everyday Joe.
Right.
Like just somebody wearing a t-shirt, shorts. Like I find them to be the most struggle to draw. Like superheroes, you can exaggerate with superheroes. It's not you can suspend the disbelief to a point, but with like normal everyday people, they need to look like normal everyday people. So you can't sort of have them with hair like that or big shoulders. You've really like wearing the clothes correctly. Like they need to look like they're wearing the clothes, just not sort of pasted on. I would find that drawing everyday Joe would be the hardest character to draw.
Okay, so Shaggy says he likes the colors. Yeah. See, because it's got the appeal, right? And it's like the set of the colors. For the American and overseas people who don't know what he meant, I was going to say that earlier, but like what Justin meant by Otago colors. Otago is like a city?
It's a region.
It's a region, right? Yeah. And so rugby colors and all that. So everybody's got their, everybody overseas knows when you got, your city, whatever, like the White Sox and all that. So the other thing here is Dee Dee's. Yeah, so Dee Dee goes, Shaggy goes, Dee Dee would probably probably dig Freak because it's horror based. So I guess did he like horror? Okay. And then so retro and horror is her game, she says. And then Shaggy goes, Justin's Freak gives me similar vibes to that. There you go. So I'm trying to wonder if that's to do with retro horror, maybe. Yep, answer to that. Now, one more statement here. It goes like the early grotesque versions of Goosebumps. So that's your Freak he's regarding to. Now, how did you design the characters, right? The actual character designs of Blaze and Bolt.
Well, I'd had kind of some like sort of Dragon Ball Z's a pretty strong influence,
right?
And then there's parts that I liked about Nova. There's parts of that character that I quite liked. I pretty much just grabbed little bits and pieces that I liked and just kind of mashed them together, and also took sort of some of my 90s influence. So if you see in this picture you got here, they've got the armor on. And if you read a lot of comics from the 90s, like particularly Image comics,
do you remember this one here? Or
armor and pockets and all of that sort of stuff. Eventually the armor goes.
Right.
But it was kind of a nod to what I grew up reading, particularly with the armor. I've actually got my sketchbook here of when I was designing. So yeah, like they sort of start off as pictures like that are sort of nothing.
Okay.
And then they sort of turned into more, I think Shaggy.
Actually, go back again.
So that's the sort of the first couple of pages, but then they sort of moved more into, hang on. So they went more sort of like this, a bit more detailed. Sort of outlining a few things, and then like that's a picture of Blaze there. I actually drew that at what might have been Christchurch Armageddon this time last year, I think. I sat there and drew him. And I think I've done a couple of Volt as well. Oh yeah, I've done one of Volt as well. So yeah, these books are really important. I always have a book with, there's another one. That's another one of him. So I always have those books with me.
Yeah, go back to the other one with no, the one before that. Yeah. Vault. Yeah, that one. See, that's a very powerful looking image, right? Because it's like a classic superhero, character coming at you. That's pretty cool, man. It's good design. Is that, did you reference anything for that, or did you just design that yourself?
I think that might have been an Auckland Armageddon where we met last year.
Right.
And I was having a bit of a sulk, so I was just drawing. Like this was on the Sunday. Like it was a rough weekend, and I was like,
yeah,
screw the lottie, and I just sat there drawing. And I think that might have been one of them.
I was like that on Saturday because we only went one day, and I was like, I kept getting lost. Like I just kept getting lost, and I must have spent like 2 to 3 hours being lost.
Yeah.
And that just sort of like ruined it for me. And I was like, but I spent more than I went with, and I was like, and I had to, it just wasn't a good experience. But it was, I think, I don't know what's about it now. Like, it just feels like difference. There's a difference to what it used to be like, and kind of like the energy is gone from it. And I feel like that's kind of sad. But like, I still, think Armageddon is a must for New Zealand. We got to have that all the time, no matter what.
I think Christchurch is still the same. I think Christchurch has somehow retained what it's always been, but Auckland, that was an experience.
Now, Dee's saying, okay, so she goes, she's kind of like praising you, and then Justin, you're amazing, dude. I love your sketches. And that's the thing, right? You got to keep sketching. Like nothing comes until it's ready. You got to like play around with your characters. I'm like, it's taken me like a decade to get Incredible out, or 15 years, and to see you come up and add to that with your all ages is going to be really cool. I think this is something that people don't realize about comics. It's something that kids hook on to young, and they learn to read, they learn to spell. And you don't want to dumb down your comic. And I think whenever I see people dumb down comics for kids is just stupid. Like all ages, like put in some smart words in there that they can look up dictionary.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, what does that mean, Dad? Something that makes them ask questions and makes them
Yes.
think
Yeah.
about asking, where is this place called Gaul? Or such an asterisk,
Yeah.
What is a detective, right? That
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Now, Shiggy goes, I remember seeing all these sketches last year at Armageddon. Amazing seeing the progress. I definitely need to buckle down. Yeah, like I said, you got to keep at it. You can't just do it when you feel like it, because usually you don't feel like it.
Yeah. In comics, you got to push through that.
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh, I'm not inspired. You just got to work. Like that's probably the big difference between comics and painting. I think painting, you've got to be inspired. Comics are just, you've got to knuckle down, just get it done. Yeah.
Now, Bridget Dawson saying it's awesome seeing it go, going from sketch to final copy. Cannot wait to read it. Awesome. And like we're saying here, right? So this is, I don't think I put it in the chat. Did I put it in the chat, the link? But here's the link for the Kickstarter. Now, since we're talking about Kickstarter, segue into Kickstarter here. How are you getting it printed? Where is it getting printed, and where is it getting out of? Like, because you're locally, are you sending out from New Zealand, and how's it going?
It's all being done in New Zealand.
Right.
I've actually got a printer up in Palmerston North.
Right.
And they've got to send them all down to me, and then I'm just going to be just sending. I did look at China and Singapore.
Yeah. I suggest, like anybody who's thinking about getting printed in China, I do a lot of like news art on my other channel about China. That is never where you want to be anymore right now.
No.
Because cost are not only, okay, it's cheap, but here's the thing. Your container can get stuck and you won't see it for a year or 6 months or never.
Yeah.
And it's happened to people I know. And then it gets delivered, it gets to the wrong place. Then you got to like fight through it to get it delivered. And then you got to find out, and it goes insurance claim. It's a mess. I keep recommending people not to get involved with China because of that.
Yeah, no, that's
if you know somebody local, or even if you know somebody somewhere else that can do it for you, get involved with that. Like, get together with people and find out how you do it. But I mean, it is costly to do it local, and I wish that wouldn't be so costly, but it is what it is. It's just you got to pay the rates, and at the end of the day, if you want to do it locally, it's going to cost, and that's something that's like, for us, we get everything for us done out of America, right? There's a lot more competition to give you a cheaper price, whereas locally there isn't that much. There isn't that many people printing comics, and so it's higher. So if there was like a thousand, or like say 100 people printing comics right now, the prices will come down because people will be competing, so nobody would have a monopoly. At the moment, it's like a handful of people doing it, and so there's kind of like, oh, well, you don't like ours, well, sorry,
I could believe it. That's pretty much the attitude of a lot of them.
Yeah, and that's been the way. It's like, dude, I've been in business for, and like, I used to work for like a franchise, so we know, like, hey, if you can't give us at the right price, I'm going to go somewhere else and get it for the right price, because I still got to get my markup and pay my GST and supply, because my supplier, my handyman is going to have to sell it to his persons as well. So it's like, it's a mess, right? And New Zealand tends to shoot itself in the feet when it comes to stuff like this. And it sucks. So sorry about that. But segue there about China. Do not get involved with China.
Also, as well, it was the postage. Like, I think it worked out. If I got it done through China, it'll be about $1 or $2 per unit. But then there's like thousands of dollars worth of freight on top.
Yeah.
So it was like, it actually worked out more expensive. I just found a place up in Palmerston North and haven't looked back. Yeah.
And the other thing about that is like, if somebody's messing up or if something goes wrong, you can get to them, hold of them right away. You don't have to wait 24 hours or whatever. And there's a language barrier as well. There might be somebody in that team in China who's speaking English, and he isn't up for another 2 days. And then you got to wait for that. And then by the time, there's all these issues involved in that. And like Bridget says, time to invest in your own commercial printer. Yeah, the thing is like, it's like about $10,000 or something, and then you're only printing one comic a year. But then the other thing there is, right, if you do something like that, there was an actual commercial comic book printing type thing that came up about 2 years ago, and I was like looking at it,
Remember
it's
that,
like,
yeah.
where do you house it? Where do you house it now? You got to get a
Where do
house.
you put it? Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to get a place to house a damn thing. It's like, and then you got to pay for the rent on that thing, and then you got to learn how to work it. Then you got to buy the paper. Then you got to buy the the ink, the right type of ink, and all that stuff. Then you got to get the computer to make it work. And I was like, yeah, just send it to somebody, get it printed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And these days, based about China or based about, I mean, sorry, yeah. But look, you do have to support your local, but the locals have to support you as well. Like seriously, you can't sell, you can't print a comic for $10. You can't, and then try to sell it for $2 extra by $12 to compete with the American comics. That's shit.
Yeah.
And really, they are shit. Like the quality of paper is crap, the inks are crap, and the stories are crap. And I want to show you, like, just because I'm speaking about that, and we'll go back to what we're talking about, but I want to show you something that came up on my Facebook yesterday, and it was about justice, and then we'll move on from my ranting on that. But let me see if I can find this. It was a short comic. It was a 3-panel comic or 2-panel comic book, and I thought it was really good. Now, while I'm talking, carry on about Bolt. I mean, while I'm looking, please.
So I've started. Well, I'm nearly finished the issue, the script for issue 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got right here. I'm not going to show too much detail, but I've actually got it all sort of penned out. Mm-hmm. The story arc. So this is pretty much how I plan things out. So I've got. So when I do the so I've got the original story. I've got another bad guy in here. Then I've got the Blaze story arc.
Apologies there. Here we go. Sorry.
You got it? On it?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is roughly how I have it all planned out. Like there's got to be a few changes in this, but this is pretty much how I work. So I've already got issue 2 nearly finished script-wise. Mm-hmm. I just got to just some of the dialogue's a wee bit clunky, and I've got to fix some of that. And there's just a few things that just need a little bit of ironing out. And it's never really finished until I've actually finished it and printed it. Because I'll have something all planned out, and then I'll sort of actually draw it up and go, yeah, I need to move those 2 around, or I could do something like that. So it's never fully finished until it's like hit save on PDF and it's done. But yeah, so yeah, I've got issue 2 nearly done, and I've started outlining number 3, like getting into the nitty-gritty of that. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks, man. Like I was looking at this, and I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it.
Is that the one that was that on your Facebook page? And it was somebody complaining about you need to represent us, like change your character to suit us, and then
no. It was,
hey, I've got this character. Oh no, I don't know that one.
No, it's basically it was this black dude. There's people online, basically, the average black dude going, man, all this stuff, they're ruining all our characters. Does Disney, all this millions they spend, all this stuff, and like, I wish there was more characters representing us black people, not race swapping the black people, but really, black creative, lifting up those people and then drawing, their own original ideas. And the next one, there's this black lady there with her comics, and she's got, hey, this is the character I've created. It's about our culture and stuff. It's a superhero, whatever. And then guy goes, oh no, I don't even know that. So walks away. It's like, Catch 22, right?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Now, printer. So Bridget Dawson says, but then you can be the printer for someone else. No, but you're right. That's the other thing. And then that's how you become a business. And then it's like, then you don't have time to be the creator.
Doing your own work. Yeah.
And that's something that people don't think about, is like, it's very involved when you're creating something. Like I said, like I don't go to events locally because I work around the clock, because I've got people all over the world who I can get a message to, waking me up with a message at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. or 6, whatever time. And they are working themselves, so they need an answer. So I'm like, okay, there's a message, respond. But you got to keep a distance from the creator and the printer, I think, because you got to be able to create, and that's the thing about being a big creative person. You got to be able to be left on your own to create. Now, talking about that being left on your own, have you sent through, like, before you went and got it printed or whatever? Did you send it, review copies out to friends or whatever to review it, see if there's any errors and stuff or any changes?
I've got a test copy.
Right.
I've got a test copy, and I've got my son to read it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then, I said it, and I got a couple of his friends to read it, and the bit of feedback I got was it was too short.
Okay.
So that's pretty
too short for 20.
Too short.
Was it because the story being? Oh, right. So did you have 22 pages, or how many pages did you have?
It's 22 pages of story plus 2. It's got a couple of bonus pages in the back. Sort of his origin. Yeah. And how I did the cover.
Right.
So it's got a couple of those. Yeah.
So are you saying it's 22 pages? Like interior story pages, not like including like those 2 pages or anything like that.
Yeah, so 22 story pages.
So why do they think
it's 24?
Did they come say why they thought it was too short? Was it because of story?
Oh, they just wanted more.
Okay, not that
there was more
story.
They just wanted more action and stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Right.
So I've gone 24 pages going forward. 24 story pages. Yeah.
So, and then you got to pay the extra for printing as well for any extra pages. So, this is what, like a 22, 36, 32, 28 page comic book?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So the next lot would have to be 32 pages.
No, I'll keep it because I'm not going to put any bonus pages in the next one.
Oh, okay. So
I'm only putting bonus pages in if I'm short on story. So I'd rather have the story short and tight,
right,
than sort of dragged out just to fill in numbers. I'd rather just tell the story I need to tell and have it nice, tight, and concise.
Right.
There's nothing worse than you read some of the Marvel and DC stuff lately. There's just all this padding of bullshit. Well, and I think kids are smarter than kids can pick bullshit, so I don't want to insult them.
A lot of that is just advertising to keep the prices down, so that they can otherwise if they were printing out what they're printing out, it'll be like $15 a book without that without the advertising. So there's always like 6 to 8 or 12 pages at one time. I counted 12 pages of advertising in a Marvel comic. Yeah. And it was like, well, where's the story? I read a story that I could read in 5 minutes, and I was like, is that what my $15 is worth? 5 minutes of content? So that's the thing. That's why I was asking, is like, is it because of like the amount of content, or is it because just this, or the page numbers?
They just wanted a bit more action and a bit more stuff going on. So okay, cool. I sort of have a bit of a better idea. So I've been looking at other artists and how they lay out pages. So Ryan Otley, I've been reading a lot of him, going okay, because he packs a lot of stuff into those Invincible issues. Like he packs a lot in. So I've sort of looked at how he's doing it. So
you can pack a lot onto a page, but also you can show it as well. With just action. I mean, like I've got books up there of Alan Moore. That's my background and wanting the way I wanted to be able to tell lots of story in a single book. So, and then I told too much, and I was told to come back. So we, when we put up Incredible as a Kickstarter, I actually rewrote the entire thing because the comment came back and said on the black and white webcomic was that it's too much information, like too much content, story wise, because we had a whole history of communism in Romania. And just like going all the way through, and it just felt like there was we could cover that in like a bonus issue in the future as a standalone, so you didn't have to worry about all the action and all the superhero whatever it was in the story itself, and put it as an extra issue. So I think somebody asked about that the other day. It was like, how many panels do you have on a page? Like, how do you decide how many panels do you have?
I have a thing for odd numbers. I like to sort of stick between 3, 5, and 7. I don't know why. It's just just something to do with odd numbers. Every now and then I might spice it up and do a 4 or a 6. I actually answered that question on Threads yesterday, actually, which is quite weird this has come up. But yeah, I try to stick between 3, 5, and 7. That's sort of my golden. But in the latest issue of Vault, I've done a couple of 6s, and a couple of 6s and a couple of 2s and 4s, but mostly 3, 5, 7, odd numbers.
Yeah. Now, how do you size up how you? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like odd numbers. What? How do you size up? How many panels you want on that page? Do you do it according to the story or to the action, or according to the drama you're trying to tell through the action or whatever?
Because basically I don't have a lineup or a format in mind when I'm writing it, so I write it all out in all bullet points, and then I'll divide it up into pages, and then I kind of go, okay, so what's the biggest thing that, like, I've got a 3-panel page. Well, how am I going to work this out? So it might be 2 characters talking. Well, that's not overly exciting, and one of those characters might punch the other one, right? So that's the money shot. So I have the 2 characters talking, maybe sort of. I might even just shrink that down to 1 sometimes. It doesn't need to be 2 frames. So pretty much whatever's the biggest action or the biggest bit of drama, that gets the biggest bit of real estate. That's sort of how I try to work it. If it's one of those pages where it's just all talking, then it's pretty much they're just even frames. If there's a big dramatic moment at the end, so say it's a 5-panel page, it'll be talk, revelation or lead into the next page.
Right. So I just put this up because I want to show you how much, for me, how much text I like to have on the, depending on what I'm trying to tell on a story, because it's like a flashback about the, her being a child, her being a teenager, her being at school. So, you're trying to like bring this sort of like information up about her. Actually, why am I'm trying to like show you my screen.
Yeah.
I'm like moving my mouse around on my screen and not on each thing, so you can't tell. So anyway, so this is there's your odd numbers, right? So there's your 3 panels. But you can see like there's like a wide shot, kind of like a mid shot close up, right, between these characters. And this is like Joachim from Sweden, my artist out there doing the fantasy book. So then you've got like this huge like empty space. Like this is on his choice, right? Because I've just said this is what I want the characters. I need my 2 characters, and he puts his touch to it and says this is like, you see this isolation of that character. So you're trying to show that like she's on her own, and then you got the people in the background. And same thing here, right? You've got at the top panel, you got her on her own reading while everybody's in the background as a kid. And so you were talking earlier about background stuff and how you like drawing that. I think when you look at the background with Joachim's artwork, they just stand out, right? Because of the background stuff. And this is the Teen Plus book. But so when I was saying like, is it because of the amount of text? Is it because of the action? How do you like, as writing for youth, right? Like for teen, like all ages, you're looking at about what, 6, 7, 8 plus 12-year-olds, kind of like that thing. How do you decide what you're going to put in your book for you, right? Because I know what I want to do, but like,
pretty much if I'm having fun drawing it, then it goes in. Pretty much I stay away from swear words. I stay away from visceral violence. So there's no gutting. I think at a push there might be a bleeding nose, or maybe like little scratches, and no boobs. So the 3 are out basically. Right. But when I've got that restriction, I can do so much more. I can have heroes that can basically move mountains and crash through buildings and go into space, go to the depths of the ocean. Like, so long as I'm having fun doing it, I assume that the reader is also having fun as well. If I'm being bored, then I need to go back and think something through. I actually had that issue the other night. I was writing the last bit of issue 2, and it was just action, handbrake right at the end.
Yeah.
So I actually cut quite a bit out because this is just going to completely kill all the momentum is just going to be killed in that last 3 or 4 pages. So I just wiped it all out and thought, right, I'll do another thing, nice big action shot, and done. So rule of thumb, if it's fun, it's staying in. If I'm bored, then I need to rethink it. That's pretty much how I'm taking this one. Whereas with Freak or Homerville, you kind of have to have the story moments to have that violent payoff at the end or as you go through. Whereas Volt, being a big superhero, I was like, he can pretty much just do what he wants. And so long as he's got a bit of a moral code and there's a lot of fun, then that's pretty much it.
Now, Bridget Dawson's saying, so nothing like you just answered that, right? Nothing like Homerville or Freak. And so excited to read it with my kid.
It was my son that was kind of the inspiration for me to do in all ages because he can't read. He's 13, and people say, "Oh, what's your dad's comics like?" He goes, "I'm not allowed to read them."
Yeah.
So with this one, he's allowed to read it, and his friends can read it, and I won't have their parents say, "Yeah, we don't want you going back to that guy's house." So,
yeah, I know, Bridget. I saw you type it out, and I was like, he answers it. I'm like, okay. But I just did want to note that you said that. So, tell me about the world building, right? Because we touched on it just before about these guys. Because like I'm all about the world building. It's like I spend like 90% of the comic book just building the world. Like what you know, the 22 pages or whatever, 30. I think not our standard is about 24 to 26, 28. So it doesn't matter. It depends on the story. But usually, what you see on your hand is like a fraction of what I'm actually creating. You know. So yeah, tell us about world building.
So with the first issue of each sort of series I don't put a lot of emphasis on the world itself. It's more I'm just trying to get people in the thick of it, kind of like a bit of a gateway drug. So they go, oh, okay, so there's going to be action in the series. So later on there will be more, but I have done a wee bit of. So the city that is going to be based in is going to be Port City, which is going to be a cross between Dunedin and Invercargill. Like it's going to have like Dunedin and Invercargill landmarks, but that one might tweak them a wee bit. So there's still going to be New Zealand, but not really New Zealand.
Yeah.
So when I was out one day at work, I was like doing little sketches of little areas around the place.
Hold on, stay there. There we go, and probably that's better. Right.
So just trying to find stuff in Dunedin and Invercargill that sort of and little like I found that's Brisbane, I think. I quite like the look of that. That's sort of Dunedin Otago University and the hospital.
Right.
So I was just sitting in the work vehicle one day, just sitting there, going, okay, I could use that angle and I could draw that, but that could be in this scene and you know, for superheroes there has to be a lot of vertical height if they're flying. So
sure.
I might tack on 10 stories to some of the buildings.
So you're basically trying to create New Zealand, but a different kind of timeline.
Yeah, kind of like an alternate, alternate New Zealand.
It's cool. Now, the next question I had was like, what sort of like, how are you like, you know, kind of creating the background to that? Like, because you know your character is going to be here, right? And they show up, but what is the background to all of them, like kind of like appearing and being in this universe that you created?
So Volt coming back to Earth, he gets commandeered by another alien race. And I'm going, you're that guy that works for that company. We can't have you, you know. So eventually he does come back to Earth in a bit of a blaze of glory.
Right.
But he's trying to learn through the process of, because he's, you know, had 10 or 20 years, you know, blowing things up. So he only knows to blow things up. So he gets taught by this other guy that, that's not going to fly here. And I'm actually bringing back one of my other characters from when I was like 8 years old. I drew a character called Captain Comic.
Right.
So I'm revamping him, and he's going to be like the kind of guy that says, hey, no, we don't blow things up here. This is not how it works. So there's going to be that. So there's got to be Captain Comic coming in as like a mentor sort of role. His
Right.
bad guy from my 8-year-old comic, Mutant Man, he's going to come back, and he's going to be kind of like the bumbling bad guy that's kind of bad.
That's the thing about being a creator, right? You can have all these stories from everywhere else, and then you realize that, hey, that might work in here. Like years later, like I wrote 20 years ago when I was at film school, I was writing a TV show series, right? Because I was going to make a TV series, sci-fi one. And then when we did Incredible, I was like, let's bring that universe into this, right? And I was like, for a minute, I was like, what happened to the screen? Because you just went still. There was like, it just stopped.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I was like, what? It's all right now. But so I was like, this is like 20 years old story that's got nothing to do with this. And I thought, well, what if we bring that all into this? And I think this is the thing about like you being the creator of your own work. It's like if you did it with somebody else, like if you went and work for say some other company, and it would like, or they would say like, this is what I want you to do, and that's all you can do, and that's all that is, and you can't go and bring your own stuff into it. And if you did, you'd lose it, right? Because now it becomes their property. And as Neil Gaiman found out with Todd McFarlane, and Todd had to like pay him out because then he could take Angela, which is sitting up here somewhere, and give it to Marvel. And what does Marvel do with it?
Yeah.
Nothing. It becomes nothing, from like Spawn Universe. So it's great to be the creator of your work. And then, like you said, you can bring it when you're a kid at 8 years old, were able to bring that into, now you got Mutant Man, whatever that was, you're able to use that because now you can rework it to make it work into your story. And I think that's something that like a lot of, people outside comics don't understand when you're doing your own thing, when you're creating your own. And that's why I always encourage people to do their own thing, right? Like always work towards doing your own thing when it comes to creating stuff. Because it's your thing. You will be the one who will have more passion for it than anybody else in the world, because you it's your creation. It's like your baby, right? If you don't, and so you're the one who will treat it with more care than anybody else. So you've got New Zealand, you've got the other worlds. How many worlds are there in this universe that you've created?
I'm pretty much just sticking to at the moment. There's Inter-Corp. They're the corporation that goes around and frees the galaxy. Basically, they farm planets and then sell bits off to the highest bidder, basically. There's another alien race that are kind of like, they're almost like monks, almost like Shaolin monks.
Right.
They've kind of got more of a spiritual sort of nature to them. There's another alien race as well, which you only see at the start of issue 2. They're quite primitive, quite early on in the piece. So they're like sort of probably the first half of issue 2. He's saving them from jungle yetis, which you can't do in other stories. You can't have jungle yetis and other stories, but space comics you can. So there's probably about 3 or 4 different races. Then you got Earth. I'm not going to do too much in space until after the Blaze saga,
right?
Because that's when they kind of go, hey, look, we've done all this damage, we need to go fix this. So that's probably when I'll do more space stuff after that. That's kind of the plan at this point. Now, I quite like doing space stuff because you don't have to obey physics.
You just do whatever you want. It's all right. However, there are people who will be like, okay, so that doesn't work in that.
How come he's breathing in space? Don't think about it. How come his sound effects don't just shut up? Move along.
I'm working on a comic from a publisher and went from like 22 pages to like 40 or 50 pages because I was like, I need to really ground this work. And I'm like, how do I make it work so it's like still workable? Because it encapsulates a whole lot of different worlds that's got nothing to do with me and other people's creations. So I went, what's the furthest galaxy universe that we have? And then beyond that. And so I created its own little, this whole alien place. And then I could set up what I wanted to there. And then, if they wanted to go do their stuff, they could go do their stuff. But it's like, and I'm like, okay, so what do the people look like? What do the characters look like? What do the animal life look like? What is like, what does the plant look like? What does the mountain range? What's the landscape look like? It's like, I was supposed to have it finished last month, and I still haven't got it fully edited yet. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been doing lots of this stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, lots of reference. And I'm doing that. So that's another alien race that I've sort of marked down how they're supposed to grow, and yeah.
you know
I
how
never used to do all this sort of planning. I never used to
yeah,
do it. And then I met Ben Stenbeck at Edge of the World in Dunedin a few years
yeah,
back. And I just saw all of his books and stuff and going, fuck, I need to lift my game. And then I was talking
yeah,
to him and he goes, oh, yeah, I never used to do this, but Mike said that I had to. So
yeah,
then it just became habit. So
yeah.
as a
I
Mike
mean, like,
McNola told him to do that. So then he just kind of got into that habit. So, right, I need to do this as well. So,
well, because you don't know when that idea you need it, where you need it,
yeah,
because somewhere you could use it. And that's why I say, like, there's like 90% of what you actually you don't see of what I create,
yeah,
because I've got files and files and files. And not only that, then my artists have files and files and files. Like, you know, because I go, well, this is at 6 years old, this is at 12 years old, this is at 16, now she's 18, now she's 22. It's like, you know, they don't, you know, people just see this, you know, that image of it, but they don't see when, you know, and all this stuff. And it's like, it really helps with your world building when you do that. And I think, you know, once again, I want to encourage you guys, if you guys are watching, or whenever you're watching, maybe 100 years from now or whatever, but do work on, you know, your creations. Like, don't
yeah,
just like leave it on your computer, sketch it down, you know, whatever, just always jot down ideas. Like I said, like 20 years ago, I wrote a whole friggin' 450 pages, which now makes sense, because the entire Plunge universe has, you know, I can bring these things into it 20 years ago, because it's written down. If I left in my head, it'll be gone now. I would have forgotten, because I had head injury, you know, memory, boom. So always, you know, like, it's a good, you know, it's good practice as well, if you're doing art, to always sketch stuff out, logos, whatever. And even if it's just a little tagline, and then they fell out of space, and then 10 years later go, well, that's interesting. Let's build on that.
yeah.
You know. Any other questions in the chat? We got 6 people watching. Like I said, if you guys are over, if you guys are over at you know, Twitter or Facebook, pop over onto YouTube, right? And for a minute there, so are we on YouTube? YouTube, and ask any questions you got. But also, let me pop us back up here and back over here. Vault is live on Kickstarter right now. It's an all ages comic book for all ages, you know, young and old. So this is the first all ages comic book that Justin has done.
Yeah, first one. Yeah.
Now, Justin is a horror writer, a fantasy writer, and so he's going backwards, you know, doing something for his kids and also for, you know, everybody else's kids, something interesting. Now, tell us about this art piece here. I was looking at this, I think that's pretty cool. Are you able to see that? This is so
that,
let me bring it down a bit more.
With the purple sky, with the purple planet there.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is, I don't know how much I should be giving away, but that's kind of the point where it goes, hang on, something's amiss here. That's kind of that point, and that's why I've sort of chosen to have no dialogue.
Right.
Actually, I have to just double check that. I don't think there's actually any dialogue on that. No, there is dialogue.
Right.
Never mind that. No, but there's, I just kind of chose to have something that was just very quiet. Just as that sort of, hold on a minute.
Yeah, just kind of that intense moment, sort of dramatic moment.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
I carry on. I've got a question there.
Yeah, is your son artistic? If so, you could get him to do a rough drawing like your character when you were 8 and add that into another book. Cool suggestion.
Yeah. He's more about the PlayStation at the moment. But he's getting into like designing characters for like, he wants to make a video game, so he's really getting into designing characters and that sort of thing. So that I think will feed into other things. So it's one of those things that as a parent you don't want to sort of push. Yeah, because if you push too hard,
encourage. You want to encourage without like pushing or forcing or something like that. Excuse me for me rubbing my nose. I'm like, it's kind of weird. Hold on. I think it's like the mic moisture from the mic hitting back at me. I'm like,
Yeah.
so we're talking for, if you just joined us, we're talking to Justin Young. He's a Kiwi comic book creator whose background is in horror, and now he's doing an all ages comic book, and that's called Vault. And this is Vault here, which we're just looking at here. That's a character there. Let me grow up a bit more. It is live on Kickstarter right now. And I saw this and I was like, man, you've backed a lot of projects, including my one, which I have yet to get out to you.
57.
Yeah, 57. Yeah, so this is amazing, man. Yeah.
I have backed heaps.
You have.
I don't back so many anymore because the freight is so expensive.
Yeah.
There was a book that I was going to buy. It was about, I think it worked out to be about $100 New Zealand.
Mm.
And it was one of that was like a thick, I think it was the Darkness Volume 3.
Right.
Mark Silvestri. I'm getting that. And then the postage was an extra 200 New Zealand on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 300. And I was like, nah, can't justify that.
Yeah.
So I was pretty good. It's like, yeah, pledge, hang on. Got out the currency conversion. Went, oh, this is like $300-400. No, I can't do that. So I haven't backed as many. I tend to back New Zealand ones more now than I do international.
Yeah. Usually if it's international, I just do digital.
I have started doing that now. Yeah, which is a shame. I like to have the books. I'm a tactile book person, but yeah, it's freight is just so expensive. Now,
I just noticed here that you've got a pin that you're going to be sending out with this.
Yep.
Do you have that? Hold on. Let me grab this. There you go.
There. So handmade by me. I've got my own sort of badge maker, so I make my own badges. So they're not mass produced. There's limited numbers of them. And each issue is going to have its own different emblem. So with this one here, that's his emblem on the armor that he's wearing. But towards the end of the start of the second issue, he loses that armor and just has a sort of like a bodysuit. So right. the next pin will be different again. So little collector's items.
Yeah, so Bridget Dawson's saying, that is an insane amount of money for a book. Try getting your publishers send you your comics from America, and you realize it's like about almost $500 for a box about this big.
Yeah.
And that's like $250 US converted into New Zealand's around about $400 something, and you're like,
roughly 2 to 3 times the amount. Yeah.
Yeah, was it really worth it?
Yeah.
Because but it's amazing to see it, and hold it and do your thing with it, to realize that this is like 15 years worth of work has finally, got your first issue out.
You're holding it. Yeah.
Now, because you're the artist and writer, right?
Yeah.
Do you think because you're doing locally and you work full time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so this is a side, you do all this comic stuff, passion on the side. So I was wondering, like, and I Shane's Seven's done that as well, right? Yeah. I was wondering, like, wouldn't it have been better to, and it's a 50-50, so you can disagree with me, but wouldn't it be better to like do the entire book and then release it as a graphic novel, and that way it's a trade paperback, right? And then release it as a single thing, because you're the artist and you're the writer. It's not like you're waiting on somebody else to do the artwork, or somebody else to print it, because you're just getting it done all yourself. Did you weigh up whether to do that or just go floppies each time?
No. I did that with Freak. I did that as a whole graphic novel, but this binding is incredibly expensive. That's the majority of the cost of the book. It's ridiculous how expensive that is. And also when you're working on, like, that was about 4 years. Like, that was sort of 4 years from start to finish to do that book.
Yeah.
And the second Freak was about 3 years.
Okay.
So that's so spending that long on one project can be quite brain melting. Whereas if you break it up to something like this, it's just a bit more manageable. We can like go right, boom. Like, okay, this still took a year to do, but there's a lot of learning that happened in that, and the next ones will be a lot faster. But it means that I can go get a chunk, get it released, and I can take a couple of months off or a month off or whatever, and then I can do the next one or do something different in the meantime. Like, whereas if you're working on a graphic novel, you're locked in for that 3 to 4 years just doing that. Yeah. And as much as I love doing Freak like that, it was just that's a long time. And also as well, people lose interest. So I did Freak Part 1, everyone loved it. Like, when's number 2? When's number 2? And then 3 or 4 years later, when I'm releasing number 2, like, I'll get to it. Like that interest has just evaporated. And also economy again and all that changes in that time. And whereas, you know, if I do a $10 cost,
I mean, that's one thing that, like, I'm holding off on our one at the moment because of the economy and because of the freight costs and stuff. And the good thing now is that we're doing everything out of America, and so our backers are mostly going to be in America anyway, because it's the publishers there and is able to take it to, you know, conventions and stuff there. One thing I kind of worry about is like you said, like people losing interest if you're like, you know, a year later. And so because of that, I'm like putting out, like, because I'm a writer and creator, so I get other people, other different artists, like 6 or 7 right now, and they're doing their own books. So I'm trying to figure out, like, whether I release a book, all the books at the same time as number ones, or do, you know, because of how I can do it, I can stagger it, like every 3 months, I can stagger another number 1, another number 1, another number 1, and release a number 2 of Incredible. How do you, like, are you adding on with your Kickstarter for this? Any for the older audience, right? So like if you want to add in a Freak book, and if they want to add in, you know, Homerville, are you making that available, right?
Yes,
like,
so they'll
words,
be
I know,
available as rewards
on Kickstarter. It's not kids that are backing these books; these are adults backing these books. So have you thought about, like, or did you? I'm not sure if you've done it already, or are you thinking about, like, hey, you know, send me a DM if you want, or email if you want Homerville added to that as well. We could just work out.
I've got them set up as rewards.
Because you're muted.
Oh, have I?
You're muted.
Oh, okay.
No,
not there. How about now?
You're not muted now on my end. So.
Oh, okay. Are you there?
Yeah. Your whole thing's cut out, bud. Pop out and pop back in, like, you know, exit and, you know, come back in. Yeah. So. All right, Shaggy, catch you later. Shaggy says, awesome to hear all about your comic book, Jason, but he's calling it a night. It is 9:30. He's probably got work in the morning, tomorrow being Saturday, and he's on. Maybe he's doing morning shift. But yeah, I think there's something to really consider, like, especially when you're doing in Kickstarters or Indiegogos or whatever helps, you know, have you. But, you know, Kickstarter has the biggest audience, biggest amount of backers. It's just the numbers game. Kickstarter is probably the best place to be because of that, because there's more eyes there. But the other thing is, like, you know, it's adults with the money that are backing. This is like, you know, 18 plus age group. So you got to, if you do have a children's book and, you know, all ages book or something, or if you have an adult book that you're putting out, maybe consider, like, allowing an add-on for their kids or add-on for the adults, because that might allow, you know, because, by the way, it's around about $20 US to get a comic over to New Zealand. I mean, like, sorry, $30 New Zealand to get a single comic over. So for a fraction, you know, say a couple bucks more, you can add in another comic or other if you already have one, you know, sitting around. That way you could, you know, it might help people, you know, to come to you, you know, back your comic more, because now you got one for the kids and now you got one for them. And because I think that's why a lot of people that back comics, I guess, like in the higher medium range, they don't just get the one comic because the freight is going to kill them if they decide later to get that other comic that they were thinking about. So if you offer whatever you got, it's a good time to like maybe consider, if you've got any other comics to add it on. But the other thing about your comic with Freak, right, Jason, they're a bigger comic size compared to this other one, right?
Yeah. So Volta's A5.
Yeah, you're muted again, dude.
Muted again. Okay,
let me try something.
Yep.
I'm trying to see if it's because of your mic popping over to me, because I haven't changed anything on my end. But hold on, I think you popping in and out is switch my headphones around. Say something.
Yeah. I'm
you're good now. Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, because you'll be popping in and out of me, so I'm sort of catching the most of the conversation. So if I'm sitting looking a little bit dumb, it's like, oh, I've missed a little bit, but that's all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened on your end. So once it happened, it was just like muted all the way through.
That's all right.
Yeah. So Shaggy had to go to sleep. I think he's got work in the morning.
Oh, quitter.
But we still got 6 people watching. So
that's right. That's fine.
So as I was saying, like, did you think about offering that?
Yes,
or maybe offer that
I do have those as add-ons as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's since we're there, let's talk about the add-ons, right? Oh, that's not where we want to go. Wait. Why? Oh, hold on. Let me see, because maybe I'm not logged in. Let me pop out. I thought I've had to redo my whole computer from scratch this week because I've got a virus, so it's a bit messy. I don't know which ones I've logged in and which ones I haven't. So let me log in. And all right, here we go.
Didn't get COVID, did it?
It got Tencent, Chinese virus. It was a Chinese virus.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, Tencent it was called. And I was like, I deleted the virus without putting it through the virus checker.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And so I had to basically delete everything apart from my files, everything, like all the apps, everything. I was like, so sad.
Yeah.
Like a whole week of that, man, like back and forth. All right, so let me get back into the screen. And now we're logged in. And now I can see, hopefully. All right, so where do I go? What's going on here? Because it's been a while since, it's probably been about 8 months since I've been on Kickstarter. So why isn't it rewards? My bad. Like I said, I'm way off the kilter. So here we go. There we are. So tell us about Homerville for the adults. Right.
So Homerville is it's set in a fictional Central Otago town. So once upon a time, it used to be a gold mining town in the middle of Central Otago, kind of off the tourist track, so to speak. The locals there, they don't leave. The locals stay. Outsiders can come in, but they don't leave. So this particular one, Hell Trip, is a group of university students take a bit of a road trip to go to a horror show because they think it's all fake. And it's actually, the monsters are real, and it's not a very fun trip for them.
Right.
The next one, I think it's Homerville is all about gnomes. Yeah, that one. That is me being an asshole for 40 pages. So it's also set in Homerville, but there's like a little camping ground called Gnome Falls. My stepdaughter hates gnomes, like she's terrified of gnomes. So I did a graphic novel all about scary gnomes, just because I'm that kind of guy. So basically, that's a trio of hitchhikers come in and they stop off there and they get eaten by gnomes, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's that one, right? So that's a trashy R18.
Yep. Trashy. Yep.
And then you've got Freak Part 1.
Yes. So this is a reprint of my original series, because I'd actually sold out of the original series, so I've got it reprinted, redid the cover and all that. There was one chapter that was quite blocky and grainy because I outsourced that to somebody else, and I've gone ahead and fixed that. But outside of that, it's pretty much the same as the original print, and that's kind of a cyberpunk vampire sort of story.
Right. and then you've got Freak Part 2.
And,
So,
and
by
that's
the way,
the latest one. That's Freak
Yeah.
Part 2.
yeah. So, by the way, this is 5 chapters. By that you mean 5 issues in one, right? 5 floppies in one.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. So they're basically a trade paperback. Each one of these are.
They're both trades, those two.
Yeah. Hence why it's about $45.
Yeah. That's just skirting above cost. That's
Yeah.
that it is that binding. It's that square binding that's just so bloody expensive.
Mm.
Because the printer, they outsource that to somebody else.
Yeah. And
That
then they gotta-
company adds a premium. Then that comes back to the printer. They charge a premium.
Yeah.
And then I've got to pay. All
Yeah.
of that.
Basically, you're paying for 2 people to get your book, right? And then you got to edge. Yeah. That's the stress of like. That's why I'm like we talked about earlier about how New Zealand printers just don't know how to play the ball game, and then they go, why do you go to overseas to get your stuff printed? Well, because you're not helping us.
Yeah.
You're just trying to help yourself. So when
Yeah.
you try
So
to help
I am
yourself,
going to.
yeah,
So with the Vault trade paperbacks later on, they're going to be A4. I'm not going to have all the cover pages in, just to cut out the wasted space. So that way I'm not having to get square binding and just be stapled.
Yeah.
And they'll be cheaper than the Freak books. That's the plan.
yeah, because I mean, like, it's like a lot of people who don't create comics or like publishing costs and stuff don't understand that. Like with me, you know, because our minimum amount of like pages is 32.
Yeah.
You know, and then I try to like promote the artists or colorists in the book, so you get the bio about them, because you know, and whoever else on the covers, because I want them to have a future in comics. So they need their, you know, they need how to contact them for a future in case like might not be working with them like 2 years down the road, but they're still around. So that way, having their information, you can go check out their website and all that, get a hold of them, because that's to help them. Because you know, you don't want to be like one and done in comics, because what's the point of doing one and done?
No.
You know, you want to be in it for like this. If this is your passion, you want to like realize early on, if this is going to be a life goal. If it's not, don't do it. Go do something else. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, now all these are black and white, or are they color?
Freak is color, but it's that like the color that you see there, the yellows, the greens, and the reds. That's basically the color palette. I just wanted something that was quite hot and sticky and sick feeling.
Right. The greens,
the Homervilles are black
browns.
and white, but the blood is red.
Right. Yeah. So that's sort of like really.
I've got one here actually. So,
Okay.
so they're like that.
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
There we go.
That's a Homerville there. So the blood's all red, but everything's black and white. It's actually quite weird sort of looking at sort of the older books and then you compare it to your latest one. It's quite, so you sort of had that and then you go from that to something like that. It's quite weird sort of comparing the two. Like I haven't actually done that before. That was weird. That's all right. Bit of growth.
It's for a different audience. So
Bit of a change of pace.
Yeah. Because you know, if you can't give that sort of color, like you can't have a comic color to a palette to look like Freak for kids, because they were like, ew, and like,
Those what is this? Yeah, they just what is going on?
Whereas us adults will be like, oh, that's pretty horrible and very good, nice.
Yeah,
you know, creepy looking. That's good. That suits it. All right. So now, is there anything you want to talk about before we finish up here? We come up at 1:20.
I don't really know. Really, it's pretty much the life of the comic artist is just really just working, and then I mean you might watch a movie in between, and then it's sort of back to work.
Yeah.
Really, it's then you got your day job and being a grown up, and then having to do comics, and it's sort of what's that?
Exactly, Bridget. It's called catering for different needs.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's us for tonight. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. I don't want to like make it a long one tonight, but I think we covered very much what we needed to. And please do go out and back. Where are we? There we are. Back to vote and help a brother out, as they say. And especially, you know, if you're local, it's not going to be that expensive, right? Your post isn't going to be that expensive. Your freight, whatever costs. And like, there's a, you know, I saw there, if you're rural, just add $5.70 on it and you'll get it to you, right? If you're in the farmlands. What else? Hey, the other thing is it's a kid's book, right? So you can read your kids bedtime, whatever have you. You know, it's one of those little things that, you know, make, you know, it's time spent with kids, right? Early stages, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know where along the line that they decide to get into reading, writing, literature, be a librarian, you know, or what have you, or be an artist 10 years, 20 years down the line. Because if you encourage them in the right way now, you know, they'll be set for life. It's, you know, so that's something good to think about. I guess it's something to think about, not something good, but something to think about when it comes to comics, especially boys, right? So, like we said about earlier, you know, you got, oh, Marvel this, Marvel that, DC's doing terrible things with their characters. Support local creators, you know, and put your money towards local. So I'm going to let you have the last word, and they'll be on the way out. So ka kite anō, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. Wherever you are, be well, be safe, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay, so pretty much the only thing that I can really tell you now is you don't have the middleman that, you know, when I was growing up reading comics, you had to go to Marvel or DC. You don't have that anymore, so there's really no excuse to get in and get it done. All you need is a flat surface, some paper, and some pens, and you're good to go. If you're looking for inspiration, a good place is YouTube. Looking at this channel in particular, you get to meet sort of the local sort of talent. If you're looking for technical know-how, look up the likes of David Finch and Ryan Benjamin, or is it Benjamin Ryan? It's one of them. Yeah, look up those two guys. Also, Proco do some really good. They do like a paid subscription sort of thing, but they also do like little half-hour videos. It gives you a basic rundown of their videos. So they're always good to have a look at as well. If you're interested in sort of finding out printers and stuff like that, flick me a message on the Instagram. I'm jyoung_artist on the Instagram. So just hop on there and hit me up with some questions. I want to see more people making comics. There's not enough of us out there. We're not... there's not a lot of us. I want to see more people making comics. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can sort of give you the final word. Just get in, get it done, tell your story. We want to read it.
Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything, like literally anything, and I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.